Saskatchewan, it's time for change. And we are here today to release our plan to deliver that change for Saskatchewan people. Everywhere I go in this beautiful province, I see opportunity and potential. But after 17 years of corruption and waste, Scott Moe and the Sask Party have dragged Saskatchewan down to last place on education, healthcare, and the cost of living. People are being forced to drive out of province and pay out of pocket for care that should be available here at home. And they're waiting on the longest wait lists in the country. We have frontline workers across this province who are burning out and who are sounding the alarm about the need for safe staffing. Costs are rising every day, and families are finding it harder and harder to make ends meet. Our kids' classrooms are overcrowded and underfunded, and too many kids are going without the supports that they need. But Saskatchewan, it doesn't have to be this way. It's time to get Saskatchewan out of last place. And today, we are releasing our detailed and fully costed plan to do just that. Under the Sask Party, our healthcare system is broken. 200,000 people in this province don't have access to a family doctor. We have a plan to fix it. The Sask Party has ignored healthcare workers and pushed them to the brink, with healthcare workers leaving the province or leaving the profession altogether. We have a plan to listen to and work with those healthcare workers, to staff up the system with more doctors, more nurses, and more healthcare workers on the front lines and at your bedside. We'll cut emergency room wait times that are the longest in the country right here in Saskatoon. And we'll make sure that City Hospital emergency room is open 24/7. So we can ensure that you can get the care that you need. So many families in this province have been struggling, working harder and harder, but feeling like they're falling further and further behind. Scott Moe's response to this was to raise taxes 31 times. We know that you need a break now, not next year. We won't raise your taxes. In fact, we're going to cut your taxes, starting on day one, and removing Scott Moe's PST on groceries and on children's clothing. Under Scott Moe, class sizes in this province have ballooned, and the government has cut per student funding year over year for a decade. We have a plan to restore that funding, to hire more teachers, more education workers, so that our kids have the supports they need to thrive. And we will do this with fiscal responsibility that has frankly been lacking in this province for 17 years. The kind of responsibility that Saskatchewan people expect. Our plan is fully costed, with a clear path to balance by the end of the first term. Saskatchewan, I know that you're looking for change, and we're here to deliver that change, that bright future that we all want for our families and for our province. This election, you can vote for that change. Thank you. Thank you. You guys were so good, so quiet. With that, I'm happy to take questions that you might have.
Could you talk, Respect, about the costing of the platform, specifically how the path back to balance with, not raising taxes, but also, and I'm only seeing in some small spending cuts. Could you talk about how that works economically?
So what we're doing is we're taking the government's own actuals, most recent actuals, and as well as their projections, their economic projections, looking at what has been the rate of growth in the province. We've taken a very modest measure of growth across the revenue line in this province. This is a plan that, again, we've laid out the costing over a week ago now, so that people can have a chance to look through it. It's a plan to ensure that this economy is is growing and thriving across all sectors. Something that we continue to say, and we listen to people in communities and industry across this province, there is opportunity in this province being left on the table. This is a plan to kickstart the economy, to ensure that there are good jobs, economic growth in all sectors, all areas of this province. And again, it's a plan that I stand by. Our team, Ron Stiles, spend a lot of time going over the full costing. It's there in the platform for people to look at. And again, we expect that people will scrutinize it. People in this province have grown cynical after 17 years of the Sask Party's record, saying one thing during an election or at budget time, only to find that those promises aren't realized afterwards. Again, it's a plan that invests in the things that people in this province care most about. It's a plan to get us back to balance, and it's a plan to restore that fiscal responsibility that, as I said, has been lacking. We have a government that's added, under Scott Moe, the 6 years of Scott Moe, the most debt in the history of Saskatchewan. This is about spending where we need to spend and ensuring that Saskatchewan people are getting best value for their tax dollars.
Just curious what more we can expect from the whole platform is out?
We'll continue to be in all areas of the province, talking about our plan, delivering the message that this is a plan that's been built with the people of this province. This is the plan to address the things that are most important to Saskatchewan people consistently. Cost of living being top of mind, the crisis in our healthcare system, rising rates of crime, ensuring that there's economic growth in all sectors, good jobs, bigger paychecks in all sectors, and investing in our kids, ensuring that all children in this province have the chance to thrive. This is a plan to deliver the change that Saskatchewan people have been looking for.
So did you get your reaction on the Sask Party small business tax reduction?
Well, this is something that we announced 43 days ago, something that is the right move. We know that Saskatchewan small businesses have been struggling. We have some of the worst economic businesses in this province report some of the worst rates of optimism when it comes to the economic future. It's a break that's needed. The Sask Party up until today, had been willing to go ahead with their plan to double the small business tax rate. I think this is the right move. Our plan goes further to offer startup loans to small businesses in this province. It's not about taxing the small business we have in this province doubly. It's about increasing the number of small businesses in this province. We know the importance of small business to communities, the economic impact, the jobs created. One of more than 90% of the businesses in this province are small businesses, and we need to work with them to ensure that they can thrive and deliver good jobs and economic activity to communities right across this province.
Could you talk about putting this platform together in the consultation process? How did you go about it?
As I've said, it really is a plan that's been built with the people of this province, working with those on the front line, working with industry, working with businesses, and not just in a select few rooms, which is something we often see from the current Sask Party government. It is a plan that has taken a lot of hard work, both myself, our team, our MLAs and critics, looking at the things that are most important to Saskatchewan people and then laying out a plan to address it, laying out a plan that's fully costed. As I said, people in this province have grown cynical about the current government pretending or making promises during an election or at budget time but not following through with results. This is a plan to get results, and it's a plan to do so in a way that is fiscally responsible and will actually see improvements to healthcare, to education, cost of living, and actually reduce crime rates.
You've announced a lot of tax credits and new spending.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how debt reduction plays into your plan?
Mm-hmm. We need to get the economy firing on all cylinders. Again, this government is presiding over a record of economic loss in 7 key sectors of the economy. We need to ensure that we've got the economy thriving on all sectors. Again, it's a plan to balance by the end of 4 years. There are measures built in for the current debt payments that we need to be making in the platform. But some of these investments, I think of the investments in the healthcare system, for example, we can't wait for our healthcare system to continue to languish like it has under Scott Moe and the Sask Party. As I said, so many people are raising the alarm that this is a system that is desperately in need of investment and an improvement if we want to continue to have people be able to get the care that they need in this province. So that investment is important. The costs for our RCMP officers and frontline officers in this plan is front loaded, putting the bulk of that investment in the first year because we need help now. And again, this plan is to address all of those issues, get us back to balance, and it's a fiscally responsible plan that people expect, but those investments on the front end to get us out of last place in education and healthcare, offer that relief. These are things that Saskatchewan people and Saskatchewan simply can't wait for.
Question for my colleague.
Mm-hmm.
Both you saying if you're supporting the Trudeau carbon tax, and
No. Again, we have Premier Moe continually pretending that he wants to run on his record. What I see instead is Scott Moe running from his record and resorting to desperate lie after desperate lie, division, pointing fingers. I have never supported the carbon tax. In fact, I ran for the leadership, clearly stating that we did not support the carbon tax. I've said so repeatedly, but again, this is more desperate lying from Scott Moe instead of facing the reality of his own record. I understand why he might want to run from his record. Again, he's taken us to last place in education and healthcare. We see the highest rate of violent crime in this province, 2 times the national average. We see the highest number of people who are struggling to pay their bills in this province. This is Scott Moe's record, and if he wants to run on it, he should stand behind those words and actually run on it and stop resorting to division and desperate lies like we see.
what would you say is your top priority from your platform?
2 top things in there. I mean, really, the focus for the top issues across the province are largely the same as I've mentioned, but providing some cost of living relief and getting it out the door right away. Our plan would deliver 2 times the economic relief for an average family of 4. Some of them, we see one right behind us. Double the relief in 2025 when compared to Scott Moe's plan. We know that people need relief right away, not at some point in the future. They've already had a government who has refused to offer relief to Saskatchewan people for years at a time when people are struggling. So that was a priority, to be able to get some of these measures, some of that money back in people's pockets right away. Healthcare is another huge priority. Again, it is not alarmist to say that this is a system that is on its knees. We hear that from those on the front line. We hear it from patients who know it when they're waiting in pain on the longest wait lists in the country. We know it from women who are having to travel out of province for life-saving health care that should be available here at home. And we're paying as Saskatchewan taxpayers 10 times the amount to do it. They're often paying thousands out of pocket to do it. So those are top priorities. And another priority, getting the economy firing on all cylinders, and investing in our kids. One of the best investments that we can make, something that we have seen decline over a decade under Scott Moe and the Sask Party. These kids, they don't get a second chance to get that good start that we all want for our kids.
Could you respond to, there was a recent report that came out from rentals.ca about that rents are really, the reports it's surging, I believe, about 23% in October. Talk about housing relief for renters as well as the housing as well. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, Saskatchewan has had the highest rate of inflation when it comes to rent. Earlier in this campaign, before the writ was dropped, we introduced our plan, a Renters and Landlords Protection Act. One of the pieces of that was striking a maximum rent increase in the province to deal with some of those pressures. People are finding themselves homeless or having to move because they simply can't afford the rent. The other piece of that was reversing the changes to the SIS program, something that has exacerbated an already growing homelessness problem in this province. We need to ensure that we are building homes and have homes available across the spectrum, from those that need supportive housing, affordable housing, to single detached homes. This is something that was stalled in 2017 when the Sask Party brought in, a job-killing tax on construction labor. We've got measures to start to reverse some of that damage, encourage more construction, encourage a labor force, construction labor force in this province. These are all part of that plan.
Some of the Made in Saskatchewan plans are listed in here. I'm thinking retaining and getting more Saskatchewan healthcare workers, Saskatchewan workers doing infrastructure projects. What gives you the confidence that those ambitions, I guess, can be?
Talking with healthcare workers, honestly, and communities, going back years, we've had mayors, we've had healthcare workers coming to the legislature talking about both their challenges, but also where some of those solutions lie. I'm thinking of one example, a nurse that is trained as a nurse who came here from the Philippines, who wants to practice in her profession, is out in a rural community, has a lot of trouble accessing the classes that she would need to actually be able to upskill and work as a nurse, something we desperately need in rural Saskatchewan. We also know, and we've heard this from SARM and SUMA, the need to have more training for nurse practitioners available. For example, nurses who are already living in rural Saskatchewan, a large portion of them aren't practicing to their full scope, ensuring that they can provide some of that primary care that 1 in 6 people in this province are currently lacking. I'm confident it will work because it's been built with those healthcare workers who, again, I know where the problems are, but are also more than willing. They're desperate to put forward their solution, the things that they know will work. What they haven't had up until now is a government willing to work with them and start to implement, start to do the hard work of rebuilding our healthcare system. In fact, they have a government that won't even show up to talk to them when they have a conference talking about safe staffing. I'm under no illusions that there's a magic wand that's going to fix this, but I do know that our healthcare system is worth saving, it's worth improving, And it's worth a government that is going to dig in with those on the front line and actually deliver results, not wave a 4-point plan around, pretend that it's working, and deny the reality that we can all see in front of us.
So the people are here is more of an opportunity for all.
Looking at both people who are here, if you have someone who's working as a CCA, for example, the ability to skill up to be an LPN, let's say, or someone who has been working as an ECE who wants to move into healthcare as a care aide, someone who is working as an RN or has the skills of an RN and wants to skill up to a nurse practitioner. It's across the board. We need healthcare workers in all sectors of the healthcare system. People who, I just talked to people from the north, people who would be willing to train to be able to provide services in their community, but the distance, moving down to the city, moving down to Saskatoon or Regina simply isn't an option. It's about increasing the options for people to be able to skill up and deliver healthcare to their communities, something that they want to do. And we know that these are the healthcare workers that are most likely to remain in those communities. Again, this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. We need to treat this problem with the urgency that it requires, and that means implementing all of those solutions that, again, healthcare workers, doctors, communities have been desperate to work with a willing government to implement. This election, they have the opportunity for that change, a government that will work with them instead of waving their ineffective plans around and telling us all that it's the most ambitious. It's the least effective. That's the reality.
Any last questions?
We have no plans to change the graduate retention program. Again, something that has been, Scott Moe and the Sask Party have been less than truthful about. I'm the mom of 3 kids who I would love nothing more than to see them grow their lives in Saskatchewan, contribute to their communities. I think we all want that. So, Scott Moe is again resorting to desperate lies, frankly. We have no plans to change that program.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Oh.